Samantha, and I'm here with someone I don't know. That's why we're here to find out. What's your name?
My name is Cheryl.
Well, I'm going to call you Miss S, so that's easier for me to remember. Well, Miss S, what do you do for a living?
I'm a scientist.
You're a scientist? How does that work?
So it's kind of like one of those things where science is basically you try to find everything out by data. So you don't just kind of play around with it. A lot of things in science are kind of like they're always that way. Or things that you actually find out by experimenting, which is the fun part of science.
How did you get into this job?
So when I was in the second grade, I actually got bit by a dog and had to go to the emergency room. And I actually watched the doctor stitch me up. So ever since then, I've always wanted to be a scientist.
Well, glad you're okay. But who inspired you?
So a lot of my inspiration comes from my dad. He actually used to work for Chrysler. So he's very, has an engineering mind. So I kind of like to watch him fix cars and all that stuff. And it's kind of almost like science. You take things, apart, put things together, you make things explode sometimes. Kind of all that kind of stuff.
That sounds like fun.
Yes, lots of fun.
Who helped you during your career?
I've actually had a lot of great bosses throughout my career, and a lot of them were women. Actually, all but 2 were women. So it's actually kind of neat, to see other women in science.
How do people affect your life now?
To this day, I actually still keep in touch with my very first boss in college. So, and I actually graduated from high school in 1997, so I've been kind of in contact with some of these same women for over 20 years.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Speaking about college, how hard was it to be a scientist?
Well, for me it was fun. So, you kind of have all your books, and I love to read scientific papers. I like to watch surgeries on TV, so it's kind of fun. A lot of people, they were just kind of in it because they thought they were going to make a lot of money, and it's just a thing to do, or their parents wanted them to do it, but I found it actually kind of fun.
That sounds good. Where did you go for college?
I actually went to Michigan State University, so I moved from Jersey all the way halfway across country.
Wow.
Yep.
Long drive.
Yep, it is a long drive. It definitely was a culture shock. It was a long drive, so my parents and my brothers went along for the ride. I had never visited the campus, and it was a 12-hour drive from Jersey to there. And we stopped at a McDonald's as soon as we got to the campus before we checked into my parents' hotel and got to my dorm. And the lady asked me what kind of pop did I want, and I just stared at her. And so my dad leans over and he says, she means soda. So just right there, some of the terminology that they use, I'm like, whoa, I have no clue what I got myself into.
I would be definitely in shock as well, yes. What soda did you pick?
Very interesting. So I picked Sprite, but I do find that a lot of places, when they say soda or they say what kind of Coke do you want, you can actually say Pepsi, because to them, soda and Coke are the interchangeable words.
Getting back on the topic here, I don't think we asked the question, what kind of scientist you are?
So there's, lots of different types of scientists, but I'm more of a biologist. So I did a lot of microbiology. My degree was in human biology. There's tons of different types of scientists.
Scientists are good. Scientists are good. I wouldn't know since I'm not a scientist myself.
Yeah.
How hard is it to be a scientist?
It's very hard because there's a lot of things you got to remember. There's a lot of resources. There's a lot of things that kind of change throughout time. So kind of staying up on some of the technology. So science and technology kind of go together. And a lot of the other things that go together are engineering and math too. So it's not just one thing that you think that you're going to do. You end up having to do calculations. You got to build things. Sometimes you have to use a robot to get what you need. So it all kind of works together.
I don't really like math, so I'm not really into the sciencey stuff yet. But it seems interesting.
It's very interesting, and nowadays it's a little easier because we have the computers. So sometimes they have different programs for some of the tests that I run that I can literally just type in on my data and it spits out all the answers, so I don't have to actually do the math.
Computers are great. Computers, I don't know what I'm doing without a computer, pretty much.
Best invention ever.
Yes. Equipment do you do, like work with?
Ooh, I've used a lot of different equipment. So for one of the projects that I worked on, we did a test to make sure that the vaccine for meningitis actually worked before they put it onto the market. But the problem is they have little test plates that have 128 wells, and can you imagine having to fill each one of those by hand? So they actually made a machine that actually does it. So it actually will go in, pick up the liquids, and move over and drop all the liquids in there and like recap the test plate and everything. So it's kind of like neat to see, well, it's kind of weird kind of seeing it do the work that you would typically do.
Yeah.
But it's an actual machine that some engineer made for a scientist that does biology. So we all kind of work together in that way.
That does sound like a lot of work.
Yeah.
I wouldn't last a day in there.
Oh, you
Let
would.
me tell-
It's
Let me tell you that. I wouldn't last a day. Is it fun? Like, being a scientist? And
I
doing
think
what you
it's
do?
fun. And not only is it fun and I get to learn a lot of things and see a lot of new technology kind of come throughout the years, but you also get to help people too. So that's, I guess, the icing on the cake there.
Oh, there you go.
What do you test on?
A lot of our things that we do are actually, to put it in simple terms, is outside of animals and outside of humans. So a lot of the things that we use are kind of like, almost like a vector that's kind of made the same as a person would be made. So that way we can test to make sure to work in a person without actually having to use a person.
What kind of animals do you normally test on? If I'm allowed to say that.
Yes, you are allowed to say that. So a lot of the animals that are used are usually small. So they, like mice,
Bunnies?
meat mice, sometimes bunnies.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Mostly mice, though?
Mostly mice.
Okay.
You want something, if you're going to use something that is infectious, you want to use something that doesn't have an immune system. So that's why they use the nude mice, because they don't have an immune system to stop whatever it is from growing. So they use that for like cancer. They'll like grow a tumor in it because their cells won't stop it from growing. And then they can just take the tumor out. Mice, they stay alive and they're okay. They just take the tumor out and they test on that. It's kind of a neat thing.
I bet it is. It sounds a little gross to me.
Yes, it is kind of gross. It is kind of, you have to have a stomach for it. You got to have,
Yeah.
the mindset like, we're not going to kill this guy. We're just going to use him for something and then he gets to live afterwards.
Yeah. As a normal, regular mouse. Probably.
Right.
Thank you for watching. I'm Sam, and this was Miss S.
Yep.
Or you can say your name again.
Cheryl.
Cheryl. This was Cheryl, and I do hope you enjoy. Bye! I'm done. That's all I'm doing.
Cut.